Hey guys, it's Carolyn. One second. It's me. Hi. I had to go to the Dollar Tree, so I wanted to make a quick video. I have to make a quick video because I tried to record this video. Don't mind the toilet paper and stuff. I'm not going corona crazy. I had to get that, but I wanted to make a quick video. So I'm going to turn you to the road so you can see the beautiful colors that are still in the area and the landscape. But what I want to talk to you about is that I've tried to make this video, and my house with little kitties and hubby and dogs and everything has not been conducive to me making the video, and it's getting longer and longer and longer, and I want to just make this video about my reaction or my review of the Netflix, the American Murderer, The Family Next Door. So that is what I want to talk to you about. Now, like anyone who's followed the case, I have always approached the documentaries with a grain of salt, because so many times, as we've seen in the investigation discovery and the reels and the Lifetime movie especially, there is so much speculation, conjecture. The facts weren't there. In fact, there were mistakes with the facts, and that's so aggravating. It's almost like when you read a book and you watch the movie and you're just aggravated because everything that you took away from the book is not even in the movie, or parts of it are so exaggerated just to make good drama. And anytime we've had a documentary about, Shanann Rzucek and what happened to her and Bella and Celeste and Nico, I've always cautioned that, yeah, if we watch it, we watch it, but understand you're probably going to be more aggravated than anything else. And that is held true. It's held true, except for now this one. So I want to tell you what's going on. So first of all, the first time we watched it was the day after my colonoscopy, and it was something I was kind of looking forward to because this was going to be a different perspective. For the first time, this was going to be from not only the victim's perspective, but in the victim's own words. So in Shanann Rzucek's own words. And that was very different because we've seen a lot of victim blaming, victim bashing, horrific stuff. So it was going to be nice to see something that had the family's approval, that the family worked with them on, and one that was not, in a sense, glorifying the murderer. So we decided, since it came on Netflix at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 29th of September. No, excuse me. I'm trying to remember. I have my colonoscopy. It was the 30th of September? Yes, the 30th of September. I think. Give or take a day. It was the 29th or the 30th. I can't remember if I had my colonoscopy on the 20th or the 29th. Whatever. Does it really matter? No, it really doesn't. So we watched it the second it dropped onto Netflix. We had been live anyway, so what I did was, because we didn't want any kind of strikes, I shut the live to the point that it was muted and there was just a screen there. I think we had a picture of a drone footage that we took. And yet we continued to chat while we collectively watch the movie on our own screens at home on Netflix, right? And I have to say the first time watching it that it was, I just thought, okay, well, that's all of the stuff we've seen, and it is, okay, so don't get me wrong. You're not going to see anything new except for some family footage of the wedding and some of the time maybe on the plane in North Carolina. So it's not that you're going, because a lot of people go, oh, we didn't learn anything new, or we didn't get any new facts or something. No, the case is closed. This is not about another investigation or creating conspiracy or saying that things were done wrong. That's not what this is about. This is just, and it has done a good job of getting this case in front of people who have not even heard about this. And we've talked about this in our lives because, and when I mean lives, I mean live shows, not our lives that we're living every day. But we have done that as well. About how, to those of us that have been following this case, to those of us that have read every sentence of the discovery multiple times, to those of us doing that, what is this guy doing now? Okay. To those of us doing that we, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, that's good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Cadillac. What was I saying? I was saying that we weren't going to learn anything new. To those of us that have... Oh, yes. Got it. See? If it comes back to you, you're okay. So many people in our real lives that we live, have never heard of this case. Okay? I was talking with my girlfriend the other day. Okay? She's born and raised in New Jersey, and she now lives in Arizona. And I mentioned this case to her, and she had absolutely no idea. Now I think we're going to find that's not the case, because so many people are discovering this for the first time, what happened here, this horrific tragedy perpetrated by this horrific murderer onto a wonderful woman, pregnant, 15 weeks pregnant, and 2 little girls, 3 and 4 years old, in Frederick, Colorado. And for the first time worldwide, all of these people are discovering what happened for the very first time. And like a lot of us, when we hear about something for the very first time in a true crime, if we're introduced to it through a documentary, usually the next step is we are trying to find out every little bit of information. So if somebody knows that there is a 2,000 pages of discovery that they can look up and read and digest, they're going to do that. If there are interrogations, interviews that they can find, they're going to go through every one of them. So it's like a double-edged sword, and I know this is such a convoluted thing, but come on, I'm a rambler. Okay, I don't have a script here that I'm going by, and I know some of you like it, some of you won't, but that's the way I am. There's so much to say here about what I think the family wanted from this, but what's really gone on, and yet it's still too important that I would say that, there's a lot of arguments as, did this documentary bring up even more people that can potentially harass, bash victims and do that? And did it stir it all up again like a hornet's nest? So we can talk about that. And I can tell you some things, first off about that, but we can also talk about the documentary itself. So let's talk about that. So the first time I watched it, I was chatting with people, and I can say, So I'm sorry, I got a call there. So the first time I watched it, I was chatting and my attention was not 100% because I was responding to the chat and interacting with the chat. Now, a couple of days ago, I put it on again with my husband. Now, my husband, through osmosis, knows about this case and through some of the videos and stuff, but he's not as up to it as we are, okay? But still into it quite a bit. That he knows a lot of it. And he was watching the video with me on Netflix, and I found myself, apart from any distractions, that it was much more emotional when I watched it again, even though I have seen, 98.9%. Well, at that time I had seen 100% of it because I had watched it. But even though I had seen all of that, it still made me very emotional at certain points, very emotional. As I think it will to a lot of people that have come to know Shanann and Bella and Celeste, and just, share in the grief as much as we can share, but feeling that we somehow, as strange as it sounds, knew them because of the legacy of videos and footage that Shanann left. So, yes, it was very emotional. But I do know, like, my son, my older son, watched it. Now, he followed the case somewhat, so, but there were still things that, he learned from it, and his take on it was, now again, as someone in the Northeast, Italian, he's used to women like Shanann, okay? That's one thing. When there was all this victim bashing and stuff, it just seemed like, what? And I don't find that with a lot of people that are in my area. And maybe in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, some might feel different, but that's the norm. So my son said first that, wow, what is wrong with this guy? He's nuts. She was beautiful, she was intelligent, she was smart, she was a go-getter, she had goals, she was a good mother. And so that's what he saw. Never did he say, oh, she was bossy, or she was this, or she was that, or she was spent too much time working, or whatever. That wasn't his take on it at all. Now, my husband's never said anything like that at all. He's heard the bashing, but it's to say as if, because someone, it could be a little bit assertive or something. That's not the reason, and we know that's not the reason the murderer did what he did. That's the crazy part of it from these victim bashers that seem to say they're doing a service because they're protecting lives, and they're actually advocating by bashing a victim, okay, which is such a crazy thing to say, but yeah, but by bashing the victim, they're like kind of scaring straight other women that might be a little too assertive, or in their relationships, and that's not what happened here. That's not what happened here in this case, okay? We're dealing with a psychopath who wore a mask. So if you really want to educate people, you're better off educating people that psychopaths walk amongst us, and and they can hide themselves for years, and their families can be a part of it. I mean, their birth families, knowing things, and you could look for signs in the family itself, as you could in this case. But that just because someone is a quiet or reserved person and seems to follow the rules and do the right things doesn't mean that person is not a psychopath. Doesn't mean that person is not going to go and premeditate the murder of his family. Doesn't mean that that person is not going to cheat on his spouse and have that be a catalyst for everything, okay? So that is going to be more of an advocacy type of thing if someone wants to do that, rather than say, oh, if somebody was, a little more submissive in the relationship, this wouldn't have happened. No, that's not true. So anyway, we get past that. So yeah, I mean, it was very emotional. Now, the documentary starts out, let me explain this. It's entirely the words of Shanann's videos, okay, or the police cam. There is no other talking, there is no narration over it or anything like that, and it's done very well. So, it'll start out, and from Shanann, you'll get a glimpse of how she built her first house at 25, and the first marriage that didn't work out, and how she was in a really dark place, and then diagnosed with lupus, and that's when Chris came along, and she pushed him away, and at that time, you see, people say, well, how come he... Yes, because that's how they choose their victim, okay? They choose to gravitate towards someone at their lowest point, and that person may be suffering depression or a health condition, or, like Shanann was, okay? And that's when they move in, and they seem to be their knight in shining armor. Exactly what happened in this case. And so then what we see, and we know even more so than was showed, that his family was a huge problem. Now we do get some voice clips of Chris from, there's also the February interview when he was out in Wisconsin, when Tammy Lee and Special Agent Coder and also Dave Baumhover went out to interview him. And that's when he says that his mother and his sister never liked Shanann, and they felt that she was pulling him away. So we see that the family did not go to the wedding and all of that stuff. So that is given to us throughout the documentary. Also, the ice cream and the nuts, we hear Mark Jameson, Chris's friend, talking about that. Again, Mark only has his information from his phone call to Cindy, so only what Cindy gave him. And if we remember now, see, you can't help going through the discovery and listening to Mark's own call to detectives. He said that when he met Shanann, he thought she was nice enough, he didn't have any reservations about her, but then says, because of what Cindy said, and because he has a history with Cindy, he just accept what she said as carte blanche. That's it. That's it for him. And which is pretty immature, but two sides to every story, Mark there. I think we've talked about that in other interviews. But yeah, so there is a lot more to dig. Now, I can't go into this not knowing anything else because I already know everything else, but if somebody was getting this on the surface, maybe some are content with that. Like my daughter watched it, believe it or not, she only knew bits and pieces through me, even though she's like into true crime, but not on this type of a level. So she had her own thoughts about it. And, she is one that is not doing any digging beyond that documentary. She said to me, actually, and this will be a funny take, she said, oh, okay, that was like an hour and a half, and so that was it. They're cut and dry, beginning to end. He's away for good, and horrible tragedy. But that was it. And well, what more to read? What more to go through the discovery? What more to know? But that's just because that's the way she is. Now, people that follow cases, there's always more. You want to see every interview. You want to actually see what the detectives did up to a point. I don't think anybody wants to be involved in that recovery process or anything like that. But I'm talking about the investigative process, right? We want to see those interviews. Even in Jodi Arias' case, you want to see every bit and piece of her interviews, and that's just what we do. But like someone like my daughter, that satisfied what she needed to know about the whole case. She got it in Shanann's own words and some of the police cam and stuff like that, and some of the interviews, and that was fine. But I think we're seeing a lot of people that want to dig deeper. So that goes back. So do I recommend the documentary on Netflix, American Murderer, The Family Next Door? I do because it's unique in the way that Shanann had so many videos out there that she was able to do something almost entirely in her own words. This documentary was supplemented by the police cams and some of the interviews. So that is a very unique way of putting together a documentary. However, it's opened up a trove of people brand new to the case that now have the mind that they want to devour every bit and piece of evidence in the case, every bit of discovery, every bit of everything. And with that come the conspiracies. With that comes there's something missing, there's someone else involved, comes all of those things again, okay? And with those people worldwide also come the victim bashers, right? And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. And I have to tell you, I've seen some news outlets. I don't know if I'd call them news outlets. Kind of like true crime tabloid type outlets. Really going back and just hitting on every little thing about this case, like just to draw people in. And of course, that they have a true crime tabloid. It's a business. What's trending? If this is trending, they're going to hit on everything. We're seeing it with certain YouTubers that are going back and doing the whole case over again. The whole case. Making all new videos about the same stuff that they talked about, almost 2 years ago. And just hitting so much on every little thing. Like they'll take one sentence out of an interview and make an entire video about it. The next day they'll do another one and another one and another one, because they're getting what they want out of it. They're getting the clicks, they're getting their views, and that's what they want. If someone's on YouTube to make money, of course that's what they want, right? So but then there's also a dissemination of stuff that's old news that's pretending to be new news, like this whole Nicole Kessinger changing her name. And I've seen really YouTubers that I thought were above that hitting on that like it's new news. And I've also seen true crime tabloids pretending that was new news, and pretending like a lot of this stuff was new news. So we are going to see that. We are also going to see more brand new YouTubers coming out and discussing this case. And along with that, we're going to see more conspiracy, more victim bashing. It's going to happen. Sadly, that's what I mean about a double-edged sword. And it happens a lot. You get so happy and so excited that, yes, this is in Shanann's own voice. But then what happens? That is tempered with all of the stuff that goes along with it. And that's where we are, you know? And it's sad. It really is. It really is, because it feels like, it's kind of like I talked about it the other week, right? Damned if you do, damned if you don't. But do I recommend it? Yes. Are there going to be things that come out of it that I'm sure the family doesn't want, and I'm sure a lot of us don't want to see? Yes, that's going to happen. Did it introduce people to this case that had never heard about it worldwide? Yes. Yes, in quite a way. So, yes, recommend it. It's very good. But with that, also, you have to take the bad that comes out of it. I mean, it's just, it's the way it is. It's the way the world works. But that's all I have for you guys right now. I have to go in the Dollar Tree to get the white socks. I have a project coming up. And, you know, we've got the red wine case coming up. And that just reminds me, you know, Dylan Redwine's mother worked to pass laws in Dylan's name that actually worked on this case and on the case of Gannon Stauch. It's very empowering what the mothers, the fathers, the family of these victims can do in their loved one's honor. And we've seen that firsthand with Rosemary D'Alessandro and Joan D'Alessandro with Joan's Law, and then helping pass Paula's Law. And she so badly wants to connect with Sandra. And I'm trying hard to make that happen. And I have a couple people that are supposed to be passing along the message. And yet I feel like my hands are tied on that. And Rosemary can help Sandra so much to get these laws passed, to get the, you know, Shanann's Law passed, and to help her with all that. So I really hope that that connection works. And I would really love for Rosemary and Sandra to meet and talk together, because Rosemary is just such a wonderful person, and she's been such an angel to me. And, you know, she's gone through, if you need to look at that case, and horrific murder of her 7-year-old daughter, a little Brownie Girl Scout who was murdered by their neighbor, high school science teacher, Joseph McGowan. And in John Douglas's book, The Killer Across the Table, Joan's case is the first 9 chapters of that book. So, and Rosemary, I mean, took that tragedy and just celebrates Joan's life every day through the Joan's Joy Foundation, and also through Joan's Law, and helping other mothers like Paula's mother in New York pass Paula's Law, and just doing such amazing things in Joan's honor and being Joan's voice. But I have to go. I've arrived where I need to be. I will talk to you guys soon, and I'm just glad I got this out. I know it's convoluted and I know it's all over the place, but at least I've gotten some thoughts out there, and maybe they're helpful to some, and I hope so. But yes, definitely watch it, and, you know, listen for the victims, to the victims for a change, and let them tell their story. All right, guys. I have to go into the store now. So, see you later. Bye now.